None of us can know the circumstances of our death, of how or when we'll die, but we can begin to live more consciously and prepare for that time. So my name's Bridget Hayley. I'm here to share a little bit about my experience around death and dying, and how I know that dying matters. To clarify, the vast majority of us will die through long-term illness and chronic disease and terminal illness. And that's in contrast to people that die suddenly, more suddenly. What I'm talking about today is what I tend to think of as people dying incrementally. So my background is in nursing. I trained as a nurse many, many years ago now. I worked in various medical fields, and I had a lot of experience working with people who were sick and dying. And that includes, caring for my own father in his death.
18 years ago.
Yes. But then 18 years ago, I had an opportunity to volunteer on a program called No One Dies Alone, St. Joseph Mercy Hospital in the United States, where I was living at the time. It was a very profound program. And all I had to do as a volunteer was to sit, to be with the person who was dying in the last hours, days or hours of their life. Sitting and being still and quiet, I recognized a rising in myself of love, something very deep, and kindness and compassion, and a peace in that moment that was exactly as it was meant to be. No need to cling, no need to push away, just an acceptance of what was happening in that present moment. And what I recognized was the spiritual element this time in the process, not just this physical decline, but this spiritual arising in the space. And for me, I think for the first time, I recognized that I was experiencing something sacred. And I was a witness in a way to consciousness shifting and shifting towards unity, to something pure and unconditioned. I knew that this was a calling and a way to be of service. And what I wanted to do was to take one step back from being with people who were in this process of actively dying in the last hours of their life, to work with people, to support people and companion people who were very sick, who I knew as a nurse were coming to the end of their life, the last stage of their life. In doing this, what I saw again and again was fear and unpreparedness. Fear and unpreparedness. And I recognized that this is why we need to talk about this. We need to begin a conversation. We need to open ourselves. But we have a tendency to back away from death. There is these fears and these misconceptions about what death is. We have to grieve. We should grieve. We come through it and heal in a different way. And I've had many times worked with families who've shared with me that they've lost loved ones in a hospital setting or in some setting where no one has offered them guidance, no one has offered them to be in that space with their loved ones. And then they've had the experience with someone else giving them some guidance, showing them how to be in the space. And it's a night and day difference. They experience it completely differently. And I've recognized that when that happens, I can step back from the space and they're comfortable. They know what they're there to do, how they're there to be. That's a healing. It's a healing not only for the person dying, but for those left behind, the loved ones. None of us can know the circumstances of our death, of how or when we'll die, but we can begin to live more consciously and prepare for that time. We have to listen, and we have to listen deeply. It's not about us, it's about them and what's happening to them. And I've learned that when we ask a person an open question, and the open question I often use is, what are you hoping for? And they will share where they are in this process and what's important to them. And what you'll see is, as they get closer to their dying, they will redefine the hope. Hope is intrinsic. It's part of our very nature. You know, we redefine this as we get in closer to our dying. And I think that is something that I experienced for the first time. And it changed me. It changed my life.